Keynote speaker at our conference today. Leslie King is the founder and CEO of Sacred Beginnings, which is a transitional program home for women who have been trafficked, sexually exploited, and who often struggle with substance abuse addictions. She has a heart for these women, and as you'll find out, Leslie has one of the most powerful stories of someone who's been involved in human trafficking in Grand Rapids. I'll never forget a couple of years ago when Leslie agreed to come over and speak at our Focus series, and she addressed the student body and the community over at the Spring Arbor Free Methodist Church. And I walked away from that Focus event with Leslie's testimony and story in my mind. And I think that was also the case for several others who attended that event. And so I would like to invite you to please give Leslie King a warm welcome. Thank you, Leslie.
Well, good morning. And how are you? Let me start off by saying I give the highest praise to God before I even start. What you're about to hear is the truth. What you're about to hear might shock you. A lot of people say, well, we didn't know what was going on in Grand Rapids or Michigan. Reality is you never looked, but it's still here. When I was born, as you can tell, I'm biracial. I already had a strike against me when I was born. I come from a very dysfunctional family. My father was an alcoholic. My mother was a workaholic. I would go to school and kids would jump on me due to the fact I was different. I was really light-skinned with blonde hair. And where did I fit? I didn't fit in with the African Americans because I was light-skinned. I didn't fit in with the Caucasians because even though I was light-skinned, my hair wasn't as straight as theirs. So where do a child fit? I isolated myself. I would go in the attic and I would play with Miss Beasley, which was my doll. And I would get away from the world that way. When I was 8, one of my cousins moved in. He was in his late 20s, early 30s. And when he moved in, he started playing dolls with me, tea parties, taking me to the store. He gained my trust, only for him to start molesting me. But while he's molesting me, he's telling me, if you say anything to anyone, your father's going to kill your mother. Where does that put a child? What do I do? Remember, I'm only 8 years old. So I'm not gonna say anything because see, deep down, I'm trying to protect my mother. And when he would come, I knew he was coming. I would hide my little sister in the closet and I would hide my little brother. That way, the evil wouldn't touch them. So as I'm getting older, I'm going through a lot of resentments, a lot of anger, a lot of hatred, a lot of frustration. And everybody's talking about, God this and God that. So I go to church and I'm trying to somehow find God so he can take the pain away and he can stop everything. It didn't happen for me. So my spirituality went right out the window. Because if there was a God, why me? Why not any of you? My life went on like that. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Till finally, I'm growing up in my teens. I'm starting to get very rebellious. excuse me, I'm starting to get very angry, and everything I've ever felt, it started to just uproot and it's roaring. And I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. So I started running away from home. What am I running from? Where am I running to? I don't know. I don't know. At that time, I was only 15. I was a 15-year-old child, in and out of juvenile homes, in and out of mental institutions. So I kept running, and I keep running, and I'm not stopping. As I'm walking down the street one day, this man came up to me, big old nice car, and he told me I was pretty. He told me I was beautiful. No one's ever told me that before. But just those words felt good. So I got in the car, he wined me, he dined me, we went out. I felt special. I felt like this is the guy who loves me and is never going to let anybody hurt me. I'm okay. One night, we went to one of his friend's house. We were sitting there like we used to do, drinking, and I'm not thinking anything of it. Only for me to come to, yeah, they put something in it. And when I came to, it was the man on top of me, his friend, older man, doing whatever he wanted to do with me. I looked up, and I'm looking at my supposed to be man, boyfriend, whatever you want to call him, and he looked down at me, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what he said. As he's looking down at me with disgust and hatred, all he said was, "Bitch, get my money." What do I do? I'm only 15. I'm crying. I'm afraid. I want to go home, but I can't. When it was over, he grabbed me by the collar, put me in the car. If you say anything to anyone, the police, anybody, I'm gonna kill your family. At that time, I had a son that my mother was taking care of. That's the second time in my life that I heard that. And he meant that. So he took me to a place where there was other girls, and there was an older lady there. And the older lady was his other, at that time, hoe. That's the name of it. But they called her a bottom bitch. That's the name of that. Sorry, but I'm telling y'all just how it is. And she was the one who dressed us. She was the one, a lot of times, who took out the punishment. She's the one collecting money right around him, right here on the corner. When she dressed me, they took me straight on division, and I stood there. Remember, I'm only 15. I'm terrified. I don't know what to do. Sure enough, here comes John. That thing we call him Trick. You talk about horror. You talk about terror. You talk about afraid. That was Leslie. I hate this thing. And my life went on like that. Can y'all hear me? Yeah. There. I hate that thing. Police life. And my life went on like that. In and out out of John's car. Because see, every time I got in a John's car, it was a 50-50 chance I was coming back. The police would see me, but they looked at me like a 15-year-old prostitute, not a 15-year-old child. They would arrest me, take me to juvie. My mother would come get me. She wondering what's wrong with me, but I have to leave. Because if I don't, he hurt my mother, my brother, my sister, and my child. So I have to go back. If I don't, he's gonna hurt them, because that's what he told me. And I've seen his work. Matter of fact, I felt it. I would get beaten with bats, those little bats, belts, extension cords, made to go in the closet with nothing but rice, on my hands and knees. Remember, I'm 15 years old. Then they want to take me to a psychiatrist. But he's telling me, he's giving me all these symptoms. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, medicate this, medicate that. Medication couldn't cure what was wrong with Leslie. You don't understand the trauma of prostitution. I was stabbed by a John over 20 times. Threw out of the car. They found me on the expressway, took me to an area hospital, and I heard the nurse say, if she hadn't have been out there prostituting, this wouldn't have happened. Rejection again. Through all my pain, I got up and walked out. And I went back to what I knew. And that's how my life went. While standing on that corner, people ride by and they make fun of me. But they don't know my pain. They think I do this because this is what I want to do. But you don't know my terror. You don't know my heart. So how dare you? Then you want to send me to a social worker who, let's see, she only got 20 minutes. And I'm not going to talk to her because, see, her body language and her eye contact already tells me what she thinks about me. So I'm not going to talk. I'm afraid of what you might think about me. Oh, not today, though. But back then I did. Because all of my life, I was been rejected. I've been set aside from other people due to my color. Black, white, Indian, and Puerto Rican. And I hated it. I hated me. Why couldn't I be one color? Why you had to shake me up? But at that time, see, I didn't know God's divine purpose for Leslie. All I knew is I was living in pain, and no one cared. No one cared enough to see what was going on with me. And matter of fact, I didn't trust anyone. My trust went straight out the window at the age of 8 years old. Because see, when there's any kind of trauma, a child mentally stops growing right then, but physically keep growing. So I'm still a little girl in a grown woman's body. But no one sees that. I'm in and out of jail. I don't care. Why should I care? No one else cares. So why should I?
My mother, she's not understanding. She's thinking it's her fault. And it's not, but I still haven't told her. My father knew, and he tried to kill him, but see, at that time, my father was in prison. While I'm in jail, they sent a psychiatrist to see me. Mind you, when I was out there, going from state to state, city to city, being transported, no one cared. So they take me to see a psychiatrist. I'm high. I had to be high in order to do the things that I had to do. Secondly, when I got high, I didn't have to think or feel about what you thought about me. I didn't have to think and feel about my past. I didn't have to think and feel about me because I didn't give a damn if I lived or died. It didn't make me no difference. But death sure the hell was inviting, because it had been over and your lives would have continued. But in the paper, it would have been prostitute found dead. Not even my name. A label. My criminal history. But nothing about my pain, nothing about me as a person. So I didn't care. I go see the psychiatrist, he tell me I'm manically depressed. Let me give you this. Hell yeah, I'm manically depressed. Look what I'm living. And I'm in jail. So they give me all this medication. Okay, I'm gonna play it for what it's worth. I'm gonna take this medication because a lot of it gonna get me high. Or I'm asleep my time away. So I get out. My probation officer make me go see another psychiatrist. He tell me I'm paranoid schizophrenic. Paranoid schizophrenic? Does anybody know what happens when a person is paranoid schizophrenic? Let me see. They talk to themselves. They hallucinate. They see stuff ain't there. Smoke some crack. You paranoid. You hallucinate. And you see things that aren't there. That's what's wrong with Leslie. You see the difference? You see the difference? But see, this goes on because it's the system. This water bottle has a bottom, don't it? The bottom holds up the sides and the top. So we need certain people to be at the bottom so we can write grants and get money and do all this and that to hold up the top. Well, that was me, but I didn't know it. I was somebody's bottom, so I can hold up the top. I was put in a category, in a box, so I can hold up the top. See how it goes? So the system, funny about the surface, because that's the system. Child dysfunction, molestation. Because let me tell you something. Majority of all the women that you see prostituting, or in strip clubs, or in bars, guess what? They've been molested by either father, brother, uncle, cousin, grandfather, or somebody close to the family. So if you see one, don't judge it if you don't know her.
That's it.
Juvenile home, jail, psychiatrist, back in the streets, on probation or on parole. You gotta see them. You gonna get in trouble because now you're in the system. And the system is set up to keep you in the system. Because if they could help everybody, it wouldn't be no money. And that's how it went. But see, it was easier for me to stay in the dark than it was for me to come into the light. I liked the dark because I knew how to maneuver very well. And you couldn't see me. And I didn't have to hurt. My years on division or on other streets, none of you could live through what I did. Being stabbed, being shot, being raped so much that it didn't even bother you. Because you didn't even care. And hope you put a bullet in your head when he done. Because I didn't have to feel and I didn't have to think. Imagine your life going like that. Imagine that. Imagine going from city to city, state to state. Imagine being in cars with men you know nothing about, and you don't even know if you're coming back, or you get a gun put to your head, or a knife to your throat. That's right. I was kidnapped once and held overnight, tied up in the basement by me. Only for him to take hot needles, sewing needles, and stick through my nipples. That's what kind of stuff goes on to women out there. You know why? Because we're expendable. Society sees us as nothing. They see us as diseased nobodies. But you made that up. Women like me are somebody's daughter, mother, sister, friend. We somebody, you made that up. But we just didn't know. Because see, when you hear you ain't shit for so long, when you hear you ain't nobody for so long, when you hear you will never be nothing for so long, you believe that. And you live it, and I did. July 4th of 2000, I had enough. The drugs wasn't doing it. Men wasn't doing it. And at that time, I was homeless. Sleeping up under a bridge, eating at McDonald's after it closed. When they threw their food away. That's the kind of life I live at animal level. Because see, when I got away from the pyramid, I was still trapped. Because I was a drug addict. And not by choice. I didn't choose to be a dope fiend. That was forced up on me by him and by people like you. Does that make sense what I'm saying? And I did what I had to do in order to survive mentally and emotionally. July 4th of 2000, I had enough. I had enough. And that was the day that I tried to end my life. If you read the statistics on women like me, at the end, they commit suicide. That's it in a nutshell. I knew if I would smoke a bunch of crack, take a bunch of pills, drink a bunch of alcohol, see, you mix higher and lower, uppers and downers, mix it with some alcohol, you got a bomb going on. And as much as I did, I knew I was going to just go to sleep. And when I go to sleep, it'll be over. No more pain, no more sorrow, no more hurting anybody, no more hurting me. It was over. But as I'm dying, now I feel myself dying. But as I'm dying, I said, if there's a God in heaven, if you real, help me, man. Help me. I cannot explain to you, July 4th of 2000, what I felt. But I got the power to fight. I got the power to stand up. And I called my mother. Mind you, my mother ain't seen me in years. My mother thought I was dead. Because every time the phone rings, she thinks it's the Lord calling her to identify me. So think what kind of hell I put her through. And my children. And my brother and my sister. My mother came and got me. She ain't, I'm glad she ain't here though. She ain't, because she ain't just talk. She ain't but she's a spitfire of a little woman. See, when I wasn't praying for me, somebody else was praying for me. Because they prayed me through. Because I didn't have enough sense to pray for myself. I didn't know what prayer was. I didn't even give a damn. She came and got me. And when we're done, I have pictures. I didn't even do a PowerPoint. I hate those things. But I'll show you the picture of my last get high. See, God is good. Because if you looked at my last get high and looked at me now, you talk about restoration. Because I look at that picture and be like, woo! I put myself in a program called Rosehaven with some nuns. Don't ask me why I got with the nuns. Them little penguin people. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I want the nuns. And they took me out of my environment. Away. And it was hard for me. Because see, now I hate this word. Normal. What is normal? They said, well, Leslie, what's normal for you is not normal for us. You don't even know what normal is. Knock it off. My night and my days was mixed up. I couldn't sleep without nightmares. They put out to do another psychiatrist. I got so sick of them. But I knew that I had to come through before I went to the nuns, and I'm sorry I skipped over that, I put myself into Turning Point, which is a 30-day program. See, when you go to them, they want to give you Librium and lithium. See, they want to give you all that stuff to stop the withdrawals. But I knew if I put that in my system, I was going back to getting high. Because, see, I like to get high. You know why? Because I don't have to think it. But this time, you ain't giving me nothing. Well, Leslie, you're gonna really hurt, your bones are gonna hurt, this is gonna hurt. If you knew how much pain I've been in for over 20 years, I can handle this too. I was in that room, God knows, almost 5 days, full of feces, full of urine. So when I came up out of there, it was on the popping. It was on the popping. Because if Satan should have killed me then. He should have killed me when he could, when he had the chance. But I wasn't holding him up. And when I went to the nuns, and they were trying to tell me what I need to do, I know what I need to do. You ain't walked in my shoes. I know what I need to do. And I started doing it. I started reading that Bible. Because that was my spiritual way. I started walking with a whole new walk, a whole new talk. And I didn't even notice it. My mother noticed it. I didn't. I stayed in that program for a whole year. There was times I wanted to run. There was times I wanted to leave. And baby, them nuns, ooh. Last night, I couldn't stand it. But I hung in there. I hung in there. I graduated that program and became first ever resident to work there. So I get into my apartment, and then I'm clean. I get home, there's a card on my door. Grand Rapids Police Department, we would like to talk to you. Hell no! The police! And I'm thinking, what have I done that I can't remember? Because I done done some stuff, I promise you, that I can't remember. So I asked for that. I'm still getting my scriptures. Here comes another card. Lieutenant Ralph Mason. Leslie, I want to talk to you. Let me tell you about Ralph. He chased me for 20 years. I done spit on him, busted him in the head, everything. I'm not messing with Ralph. And I stayed reading my scripture, and it said faith, faith, faith. Okay, Jesus, you go see what they want to come back and tell me. Because I ain't going. Because all I know is click, click, and get up. That's all I know. So my mother came back and said, okay, I'm tired of you talking to me like that. Go get some bond money and we'll go. I went down there. They offered me a position as the outreach coordinator. Working for women, working with women just like me. I had an office in the police department. Knock it off. Every time I went to work, I was all looking up on the thing. Because I couldn't believe that this could happen for me. Not me. Advocating for women in the legal arena. Going in front of the same judges who used to lock me up. I was in front of Judge Booth and telling him who I was. He was like, Leslie King? Yes, Your Honor. He shut that court down, baby, and see if I had any warrants. Yeah, he did. That's how bad I was. But while I'm helping them, it's like, God, there's no place for them to go. You can help them, but what about when you're done helping them? then we go right back to what we know. God gave me a house. Let me tell you something. I don't know how I got that house. My credit's so bad you can't staple nothing to it. There, baby. But I got a house. Mighty big basement, a mighty big house. To look so little from outside, it's big on the inside. 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. I go out helping women. One of them wanted to stop. She had nowhere to go. And I'd be damned if I leave you out on the streets. So I brought her to my house. Then I brought another. Then I brought another. And it just started spiraling. And I started my own organization called Sacred Beginnings, Women's Transitional Program. Sacred means between you and God. That's what's sacred. Beginnings, starting over. Every time you wake up, you start over. I do it. So they can too. And I love it. I kept bringing them in. I kept working with them. I kept mentoring. I kept one-on-one. Even when they failed, I picked them up. I didn't look at them any different. And they didn't know what to do. Now, mind you, these same women I got high with. These same women I was standing on the corner with. And then I'm like, Lord, what else can I do? He said, go to school. School? So I'm like, okay, let me go get my GED. They told me I already had a GED. I said, you're a damn lie, I ain't no GED. I took a GED in jail and didn't even know it. With high scores. So I went, passed a little aptitude, whatever little test they give you with flying colors. Then my counselor was like, well, Leslie, what career are you looking at? I said, social work. They told me, she said, well, Leslie, you're not going to be able to be a social worker because of your criminal background history. For a minute, I was going to believe that. But the God that I serve is bigger than that. I looked at her and said, if you don't put social work down, then knock it off. So I went to social work. Right now I'm a social worker. But when I got to college, I was scared. Them kids running around on skateboards and I'm 5 days younger than Jesus. And then they got algebra. Who do that? Who put numbers and letters together? When I went to school, it was arithmetic. What the hell is that? But God said study. And I studied. He said keep your focus and run your race. Don't look at nothing, focus. And that's what I did. And I'll be going back for my master's. July 5th, and I call it 5th. Because see, the 4th, I still had drugs in my system. But on the 5th, I didn't do no drugs. So I'm clean day to July 5th. July 5th, I celebrated 13 years. Come on. What we do at Sacred Beginnings, we love women up out of their pain. It's a safe haven for women. It's a home for women. It's a program for women. Right now, we're in the process of opening our second safe haven, which means we'll be able to house 16. Many of our women, one of them is Johnson, have went through that program and now they're in college, working on their bachelors. Many of them women come back because it's a peer-led program. So we run it. We get education. We run it. You can't tell me I can't get education. You made that up. I ain't standing in no box. I ain't been at the bottom of no cup. Knock it off. You did. And graduated with honors. My girls. I call them my girls because God gave them me. So, because when I say now, why me? Why not me? Can't nobody get out better than me. I go into places other people scared to go. But I go. Streets, alleys, dope houses, I don't care where they at, I'm going. I don't see what I used to see. My color, black, white, Indian, Puerto Rican, I love it. Because I'm the best of all of y'all. That's my blessing. But I didn't know that I was a warrior in the making. Today I am. And today I stand before you and tell all of you that are here who want to learn about this, thank you. And I hope that you are aware. So when you see somebody like I used to be, instead of being judgmental, give her a smile. Tell her you love her. Tell her she's gonna be all right. Or give her my card and send her, I'll come get her. Because we do outreach. And I have pictures of that too if you'd like to see them. We go on the streets. We give them blessed bags. And the blessed bags, they have condoms. People are like, how you getting condoms? They promote sex. No, I ain't. I'm keeping them safe. Because a lot of times they don't have condoms. And you don't know who out there. There's a lot of people that you wouldn't think out there, they're creeping. And they want to go to church on Sunday. They need to knock it off. And they have personal items in them. We put my card in them. We put scripture in them. And I'm out there every weekend. Ride or die. And like I said, Satan should kill me then. Because when I hit the floor, Satan be like, oh hell, she up. That's right. I hope a blessing is for you all. Thank you.